If you're going for your O1 visa interview at the US consulate abroad and are filling out Form DS-160, watch this video to get all your questions answered. Hi everyone, my name is Marcus and I'm an immigration attorney. Today we're going to be talking about Form DS-160, and this is specific for people who are O1 visa people. So if you are not applying for the O1 visa, then this video is probably not going to be suitable for you. So for O1 visa applicants, usually after you get your approval notice from USCIS, you need to go for the interview at the US consulate abroad in order to get the visa actually in your passport. And part of that process is filling out Form DS-160. So this video, we're going to take it section by section, and we're going to talk about certain questions that usually come up during the DS-160, and we're going to start right now. So one of the first few sections is basically going to be location information. So they're asking for a location where you'll be submitting your application and the preparer of the application. So generally the location is going to be where you're going to have the interview. So if you think you're going to have your interview, I don't know, back home in the home country or in Canada or in London or the UK or something like that, then that's the country that you want to put down. So the most common question I get for this section is, oh no, what happens if after I put one section down and I decide to go to a different consulate? Is that going to be a problem? And the answer is no. So in general, the consular officers are going to be able to access your DS-160. It doesn't matter which consulate it is. So even though you change it at a later point in time, that's perfectly fine. So the next section is the personal address, phone, and passport information. So this part is usually pretty straightforward. So they're going to ask you things like your name, your address, your passport number, so on and so forth. So you just need to fill all of that information out. There are a bunch of sections that are a little bit tricky. So for example, like the national identification number, not all countries have a national identification number. Like for example, Singapore, you have like your ID number or something like that, but not all countries have that. So if you don't have that, you can just put does not apply. Also, recently the Department of State has this new regulation where they want you to put down like your Facebook, your social media identifiers. So it's specifically social media platform and the social media identifier. So the reason why is because they want to be able to do like a background check on you. So they might actually start looking into like your social media platforms. So one thing to note about that is that if you have a lot of stuff that is not great for immigration, you might not want to have that all over your Facebook page because they will be able to access that information. The next section is the travel information section. So generally it's things like, the purpose of the trip to the United States. Have you been in the United States before? Have you ever been refused a visa or anything like that before? So that, once again, pretty straightforward. Just answer yes or no, or type in the information that you need. But there are specific points that I want to point out. So for example, the first one is intended date of arrival. So some of you might still be in the United States and you're like, oh my god, I've already arrived, so what is my intended date of arrival? So basically the idea is, when is the date that you intend to come back to the United States after you leave and go for the interview? And then for the intended length of stay of the United States, you generally want to put the full length of your visa. So if you have 3 years left on your O1 visa, then that's what you want to put down. And then the next section is the whole US visa issuance, past history sort of section, and that part is super important, so please answer truthfully. There are a couple of parts that are a little bit tricky, for example, have you has your US visa ever been lost or stolen, or has it ever been canceled or revoked? Generally it's going to be no, but if it is yes, you might want to contact an immigration attorney immediately, as this could prevent you from getting the visa at the interview. And also, one question that's super tricky is, has anyone filed an immigrant petition on your behalf with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services? So an O1 visa, that's a non-immigrant visa. An immigrant visa specifically refers to green card. So if no one's ever actually filed for your green card for you, the answer would be no. If someone has filed for a green card for you, you're going to have to put yes and sort of explain the reason why. So it really depends on your circumstance. But just bear in mind, O1 visa is non-immigrant visa. Green card is immigrant visa. All right? So the next section is the temporary work visa information section. So you have name of person or company who filed the petition, where you intend to work, and the name of the employer, and the monthly income. So generally I tell people, put the information of your petitioner down. Put their name, put their address, and when it comes to your monthly income, what you want to do is look at your itinerary, look at your contracts, and kind of figure out what is the average monthly income that you're going to have, and then put that down on the form. Another section is the family information section. So this is about, you know, your mom, your dad, and if you have any other relatives in the United States. This one is super straightforward, and I don't really need to like delve too much into it because I'm assuming you know that information. And now we come to the work, education, and training information. So for O1 visa people, artists generally have like a lot of gigs that they've done before. You really don't have to put every single one of them down. It's primarily for like a background check. So I think if you want to sort of select a couple of like the gigs that you've done in the past, you can put that down as well. Alternatively, if you want to put something down like, you know, freelance or self-employed, that works as well. Next is the US contact information. So once again, this is where your petitioner would come in. So put their name, put their address, and put their number. And the last part, and one of the most important parts of the DS-160, is the security questions part. So basically these are questions like, do you intend to engage in espionage, sabotage, export control violations, or any other illegal activity while in the United States? Or things like, have you committed a crime? Have you ever done drugs before? Have you ever, you know, committed immigration fraud or something like that? For the most part, all of these questions are going to be no. If you do have a question where it's a yes, or you think it might be a yes, then you absolutely want to contact an immigration attorney immediately, because this could potentially prevent you from getting the visa. And then there's really no point in terms of going for the interview if you think like you're not even going to be able to pass the visa interview, in which case you're stuck outside of the United States anyway. And so talk to an immigration attorney, kind of figure out the situation, like what is the best answer, and also like what's the best solution if you have to answer yes. So basically that's my short little video on the DS-160. These are sort of like a compilation of like the most common questions that I get from all of my clients. I hope this was super helpful. So please like the video, subscribe so we can continue this conversation about the O1 visa process.